Hi, my name is Robert Kelly. Just wanted to read some scriptures to you tonight. And what else is there to do, right? We can do a lot of other things with our lives, but time spent reading the Word of God, which is from God, is eternal, will not return void, and does not wither or fade. And everything that it says will happen, will happen. Not a tittle, not a jot, as Jesus said in Matthew. And that speaks to him claiming that everything will be fulfilled. So I'm going to read to you, inspired by Paul, who says we should speak boldly to the world about God and who He is, and you know, He's changed my life from a life of emptiness and a life of just being so lost for so many years. You know, peaks and valleys in my growth, because I was still growing up as a young man in the Boston area, and you know, I remember going across country. Actually did a little differently. Flew out to California when I was about 14 years old, and I was out with my aunt, and actually my sister was with me too. And I was 14 years old, and the plan was we were going to drive back from California, and I did this, I think it was on well, it was actually in the summertime. It was June and July, and it took us a whole month. And we spent the 4th of July in Ensenada, around Baja, California. And I remember the fireworks there, and I remember being in Tijuana and not doing a good job heckling with the vendors. They pretty much saw me coming, I guess. And but what I do remember is that, you know, we went through Utah and Arizona, and of course Las Vegas. I remember going to a couple casinos, just walking in there, and my aunt had some friends out there, and I got to meet them, and they were really nice. And anyway, my point is that I got to see California, and this was my second trip out to California. And you know, it had such I guess maybe the people in England think a lot about America. Well, it's kind of like the same way I thought of California, is this big great place, and it is a big great place. It's another world. I think it's the 8th largest economy in and of itself, if it was separated as a country. But I remember just feeling so empty. I was like 14 years old, and you know, I remember I had these new Nike sneakers. They had the blue stripe, and they were white, and I just, you know, I thought that, you know, maybe they were my God, I don't know, but my heart was just right there with them. And I was, you know, I guess I was right around puberty time, and but I didn't really was attracted to girls or anything like that. So I don't think I was really, because I saw some stuff out there that really, you know, now I look back, it didn't appeal to me as it probably might have, you know, a couple years later. But I was at one of the amusement parks out there, and I had a hot dog, which I would never eat now, by the way. I went vegan like this year, and I lost 50 pounds, but that's another story. I spilled mustard all over my brand new blue Nike sneaker, and boy, it just ruined them. The stain. I mean, I really got them good. The stain was there, and you know, we didn't really have a time or place to clean it or anything like that, or put them in the wash machine, because we were on the road. We were heading back to Boston, you know, it just made me feel so empty inside. I can't explain it, but that wasn't the only thing that made me empty. I was just so lost, so searching for something back then. Even back then, as I was growing up, and at that time I was in a high school at this big school, and it was a 6-year high school, and I got so lost in there. It was unbelievable. It was just, I had a whole bunch of friends my first year, and then the next year it was like scattershot. Everybody was different. I just never really got to meet anybody or gel with anybody. Every class was different. I don't know if that's the way it is with other high schools or whatnot, but it just was too much. And I told my mom and dad everything's fine, but it was a difficult period of time. But you know what? I really look back now, and even though it's painful, and I do still have, believe it or not, nightmares from it, but I look back and I say, wow. If those bad things didn't happen to me, and they're not really that bad, I guess, but if those growing pains didn't happen to me, would I have ever called out to God, when I was 27, because I got to see a lot of life and what life had, and I was just empty, it was just and anything anybody else seemed to be happy about, it just didn't do it for me, and I know a lot of people go through this, and they get into a lot of different things, but I'm just grateful that God brought me to a place where I could read His Word and not worry about the world. I got a job, and I was working nights at the post office as I went to Northeastern University, and that was a pretty good job, and it sustained me, but the business, when I got it, I was going to business school there, but I saw a lot of depravity in the business world, and I try to make that my happiness too, but it turns out I couldn't even speak in public. I should have probably never even have been in college at all. In fact, going back to high school, public declamation was I dreaded it for months, and I look back and, but Christ changed me. He really changed me. He gave me a lot of, I noticed that afterwards, because I ended up, not being afraid of speaking in public. I know you don't have to be perfect, and people want to hear something interesting that you want to say, and just, I try to keep that in mind, but this little video is a little different. It's a 10-minute or 14-minute attempt to communicate, but most people in today's world, it's believe it or not, you have a 9-second attention span, and you need to hear something different every 9 seconds, or you lose their attention. In general, it used to be a 30-second attention span. So I guess you try, if you're a public speaker, you have to try to keep that in mind. I don't know what Winston Churchill would say now, but I'm sure there's still a lot we can learn from Winston Churchill. So anyway, I think I just want to draw a picture that even though I was so empty, and I'd had a real poor performance in high school and college, and in the few jobs I had through the co-op program at Northeastern, I really didn't know who I was, and if you don't know who you are, how can you turn around and present yourself to a business community as a respectable person, as a man, as a young man? There was a lot of evil in me. I kind of liked the there was a lot of sayings in business that I kind of started to learn. It's like one was it's not who you are, it's what you can get away with. And that's what I learned in going through business. You know what I mean? And I remember one man asked me why I was in sales, and I said, well, I like the feedback, and I don't know why I said that, but you know what? I really had no feedback from anybody, really. I just kind of went along through my life, and I just wasn't getting any direction or criticism. My mom and dad thought I was the strong silent type who, was very stately and could handle all my problems, and for the most part I didn't, except when a couple Friday nights, a little tipsy. That should have been a telltale sign that And I love all my friends from the old neighborhood, but I got lost hanging out with them too. But we did some great things. I was on an Irish football team that went to Ireland, and still don't know why I got chosen for that team, other than the coach saw me play floor hockey once. But anyway, but that was a great time, and I really love my old friends. But in the end, I was out of control in my old hometown of Jamaica Plain, which is also known as the Eden of America. I found out later, coincidentally. It's so beautiful. It has so many wonderful things about it. It's part of the Emerald Necklace that Olmsted created after he worked at he built up the Central Park, which is obviously a huge project in New York, and probably it's the size of Boston in and of itself. And oddly enough, my brother lives out there right now. But anyway, so actually Jamaica Plain was like or vacation homes where back in the old days in the city, and you see a lot of governors that were there and what have you. And I'd like to move back there someday. I really would. And I love my arboretum. And when I grew up from JP originally, we lived right next to Franklin Park. But I just want to just give you a little bit of background of who I was and where I come from, and I don't have I've been drawn to God through His Word, and when back to the post office when I got that job, it was a good job at the time. Right now I'm probably not a great job, but I was able to say, the heck with the world, I don't have to fit in anymore. I don't have to worry about all these business sayings that were out there. Look out for number one. Do you do that, or do you love your neighbor? So there was a lot of conflicting messages in the world, and so eventually, a friend of mine, my brother gave me an anthology book, I had some scriptures in there, and there's a story about Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was from a lineage of 5 consecutive ministers. I was reading all that on this intellectual kick, and a friend said to me to read the Bible. It's a great story, so I did. And I read the first 5 chapters of the Old Testament. I jumped into the New Testament. My dad had always said, walk with Christ, read the red letters of Christ. But I was, the Bible is so, besmirched in school, and yet it's, so it's the absolute, vital for us, and it's the bedrock of our community. So I think that's all I want to say tonight. I wanted to read some Isaiah, but I guess I'm going to have to wait till next time. I'll tell you what, I'll read you one scripture, and it's from Isaiah 53. And I'll see how much I can read before I run out of time. Who has believed our message, and to who has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before me, him like a tender shoot, and like a root of a dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. I kind of relate to that, because that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Like one who men hide their faces, he was despised. I felt this way, and we esteemed him not. But surely God took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we consider him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each one of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iguity or the sin of us all. Dear God, I just pray that people will hear this word and consider this. This is a prophecy from the Old Testament concerning Christ, who would later on we read, and it's God's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. So please read Isaiah 53. It's the most important chapter in the Bible, and it's in the Old Testament, but it speaks of Christ, who was prophesied, though.